you for joining us for the Dad Music Podcast. This is the official Father's Day episode.
I can solve a Rubik's Cube!
This is episode 11, and I am very excited about it. Well, he did that really fast. I am very excited about this episode because we have one of my personal heroes, one of the guys that got me into music. We have Mr. Carl Brengle, formerly of the band Last Tuesday, currently going by the name Scabs. Let's see what we can do with Carl when we introduce his first song, Gyre.
Gyre!
On the count of...
Every morning, still half asleep, walking down the stairs. I wanted something to eat. My old man sat by his lady for hours in the Word. I didn't make much of it then. But when my shoulders began to broaden sadly, so did my head, and my face grew red, and I grew to despise it. Now I'm the one in the chair with the same blank stare. Just to be fair, on anything but bread, the goddess knows I'm digging. Sun's going down. All us kids and our folks gather round for some meal and some old-fashioned jokes. When we had our fill, we made sure to sit still as Mom pulled out the Word. I didn't make much of it then. Then my siblings began to roll their eyes at it, and sadly, so did my head, and my face grew cold, and I learned to make a laugh at it. Now I'm the one in the chair with the same blank stare. On anything but bread, the goddess knows I'm digging.
Yay! Dude, can you hear us? I cannot hear you.
You guys are the real deal. Oh my gosh, so professional. I never achieved professionalism.
Camera 3 is not working, so we're not that professional.
Wow. Okay. Well, camera 3. You're talking in. Is number 3 considered a double digit?
This is camera 3.
It's got 2 humps on it, so maybe it's a double digit.
Hump is allowed. Interesting. You walk a great line.
Yep. It's
Is this Quinn?
This is Quinn.
So what? You gonna start recording, or is this like?
We've already got it going. You are live on the Dad Music Podcast, Mr. Carl Brengle.
Jeepers. Way to be on top of things. Always good to click record, right?
Yep. I am digging the Indiana Jones hat, and it definitely fits.
Well, I knew I was gonna be with you, so. Hey, Quinn. You hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you letting me be on this podcast. What's going on?
I got a blister.
Yeah, see, that's like the most relevant thing I've heard today.
Dude.
I work for Medicare pretty much, and most of the things that we talk about really don't matter. Tell me more about this blister.
Okay, so we had a school field trip, and after like lunchtime, because we went back to the school like after we went to like a museum, and we just went to like a playground until it was time to like go back home. So there was this one merry-go-round, and I was one of the like 5 people that were like grabbing onto it and like helping us push it. Well, there were like 16 people on it. And we were spinning it so fast that like you would grab it, and then if you like let go with your legs, you would just like start like flying like 6 rotations. But what happened is like I did that like near the end, and when I did that I like went for like 10 rotations. And then my hand just like gave out, and then I got flown like 10 feet.
So he went around enough times to peel all the skin off of his hand. That is the best.
Nice. Can I see
Yeah.
it real quick? Put it up to my camera. Camera one.
Man. Camera one.
G7. Wow, that's a serious man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
it's good and peeled and crusty
that is a
gooey
good one.
and-
So clearly he had a more interesting day than you. John, can you tell us something about your day? Try real hard to make it interesting. Keep it short.
All right. The end. But anyway,
Dad jokes are allowed here. I see you've really
it is
been
the
working
Dad
on that.
Music Podcast. We've been thinking about putting a weekly joke in here. We haven't, though. Maybe this will be the first one.
That was pretty funny. Right?
But I work in
the end.
I work in a newspaper production facility, and
What?
I had the pleasure of running 75,000 papers through a machine just by myself with one other guy that was palletizing them as they were running through.
I like how you like another dad. Like the way you talk about people in general is dad oriented. That is commitment to the podcast.
Yep. But anyway, lots of things
Today-
are allowed in here. We have done confetti. He's playing with a confetti cannon.
I hurt my
We've done
finger.
pizza. We've gargled water and spat it all over the place, which I just spat right then. It was nice and gooey.
So why are you into fake wigs?
Ha! I am not. This is my real deal.
The only
that's
thing
enough of that.
keeps you real after all the sellout decisions you've made in
Dude.
the last 15 years.
Look at the hairline though.
Yeah,
Hairline-
dude, brother.
Hairline
Nice,
is awful.
I like it.
I ended up getting
No.
my dad's Martin Sheen hairline. That's like hit that in his nose. That's like the biggest things
We're on
I
the
ended up
same
getting.
page,
And
man. My son, they didn't know I had this. They were like, "Dad, you're balding." They got shocked. The reason why is because I've been sporting a mohawk for like the last 15 years, right? So, and I do it right where the receding line is, so nobody knew that I was this bald. So that's pretty bad.
yep.
I think we're in competition. What do you think?
We've both got a cul-de-sac on each side of our temples.
Quinn, what do you think about long hair? I see that you've decided to follow in your father's footsteps.
I
He just now cut it, by the way.
I don't need you, okay, Mister. It's my podcast and my son's the co-host. I'm talking to the host. Speaking, brother. What do you think about long hair?
Okay, first thing, it looks cool on my dad.
Interesting.
It only looks good on a certain number of people.
He wants me to buy something.
Dude, you are Quinn. That was really sweet. A little bit later in the show, we're going to talk a little bit about how that's not true in my life anymore. There was a summer in my life. We're going to teach a little bit of metaphor. There was a summer in my life in which my boys would caress my hair and they would say to their mother, "Mom, I want to be like my father. How cool is he?" Right? And I was like, wow, this whole father thing is very rewarding. And with the three of us would walk around in mohawks together as one. But you know what, Quinn? Mark my words and don't ever forget this. Summers end. And after the summer ends comes the
fall.
Quinn?
The fall.
We'll also accept autumn.
Yeah, anyway, so very, very adorable. So why'd you cut your hair are you trying to sell me on something? Like you like his hair, but you cut your own? What's going on there?
Yeah, his hair looks good on him. Long hair does not look good on me.
Says who, Quinn?
Me.
The ultimate authority. I love it, man. All right, what's the name of your favorite teacher?
Doesn't have to be this year.
Okay, I think it was either like first grade or second grade. I had Mrs. Adams, which is pretty good.
Okay, great. Now I'm going to find all the other teachers and I'm going to send her the link to this podcast. Yeah. She's the only one that's not going to get it. All the other ones that you didn't call favorite, they're getting the link. I'm going to track them down.
Apparently they've played part of this in their class before. I don't know. That's what you were telling me. Or they said that you could.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
Okay.
Hey, I know that you probably have done this with your listeners, but I read your version because you like to text. Like we'll talk about that later. But really, I need to hear more Quinn. Like Quinn, why does this podcast exist? And I don't want your dad to prompt or help. Lay it down straight. Why does this exist?
I don't know. It was his idea.
That's what I like. You are a man of truth. All day I've just listened to people trying to position themselves, trying to butter nose me, depending on the corporate ladder, and you have spoken the truth. This exists because your dad said there's no technology if you don't do the cast with me tonight, Quinn. And smile the whole time. All right, I love it.
He doesn't smile the whole time. Sometimes he gets a little.
Did you already introduce today's podcast?
We're actually going to do that at a later time. We decided. So the magic of the behind-the-scenes stuff is we're gonna do the intro, and we'll do kind of a song reaction thing. And then we'll put your interview right in the middle with the other song and reaction. And then we'll do some closing remarks and final thoughts with Carl, which I would love for you to think about that and have a nice prepared answer. I feel like it's going to be golden. And we'll just have you do final thoughts with Carl, and we'll do an outro at a later time, but we wanted to stuff our faces with some pizza in the extra 30 minutes we had. So.
Oh, that's what you were doing when I was here waiting.
Well, dang it, I'm a big dude. But anyway,
hey Quinn, I've got another question for you because I love the truth. Okay, why am I on the podcast tonight? What do you know about the friendship between your father and I?
Not a lot.
Nice. I like the
So what band was he in?
Don't start Jonathan Keep. All right, like 1 second. So here's the deal. I like the truth. And if I had asked your dad separately, yeah, start talking this like not allowed to say bad words. I know. Kooky kind of version of reality, okay? And it would be like this. Oh man, you have no idea. Like my son's so excited that the band that I used to see as a kid, the guy that was in that band, like I used to come, like my son can't wait. And instead we got the truth. The truth is, I really want to just go play Fortnite with my friends, and you're forcing me to be there, and I don't know why that guy's wearing a cowboy hat.
I don't play Fortnite, by the way.
Oh, I like it. I didn't know that. It was a safe assumption. A lot of your peers play. Is that correct? So I wasn't
Yeah.
like off base. It's not like I said, I don't know, like, your son wanted to be listening to Fugazi. You would have been like, that's weird. But right now, at least you had a reaction, right?
Mhm.
All right. So what's next in this thing? What do I have to do?
Okay.
So anyway, let's properly introduce Carl Brengle.
All right.
I said introduce, my mic cut out there. That was weird.
Hey,
But anyway,
before you do, just from a technical end, like, you hear me okay?
I hear you just fine.
Okay. All right, then we'll keep it like this. I usually have the mic, and actually I've never been able to be on just like this, and I love it. So if you guys are good with it, I want to do it like this.
We just like the props. Nobody wants to look at my face, so as long as it's behind a microphone,
You guys
it'll
look
be
so
fine.
much like look. How about we do this? Just
Oh, no.
I'm gonna put this microphone here, but it's not even gonna be plugged in, and that way we all look professional. But then at a random part in the show, I'll go like this, and to the viewers that actually know something about something, that, or viewers, listeners, they'll be like, "Wow, the audio quality didn't change, and he moved an XLR. He must be using a Chromebook from Medicare."
nice.
Right, anyway.
But anyway,
One person got that joke.
this is the Great Carl Brengle. And I don't fangirl too much, but I fangirl with Mr. Carl. Because,
Our best.
nice. Honestly, and for real, this man is maybe part of the reason we are sitting here. Part of the reason that Dad Music Podcast exists. Because before I heard last Tuesday, I was listening to whatever my friends were listening to. I was listening to a bunch of rap and a bunch of dad rock and everything else that people thought was cool in my football locker rooms in high school. So, a nice little show at a church with Mr. Carl and his bandmates and a band called The Switch. Later to be The Switch Kids. That kind of changed things and made me the long-haired hippie that I am. So, I heart this guy, and I have followed him. I've got the tattoos to prove it. That is a last Tuesday tattoo.
What is it? What
It
does
says,
say?
become what you believe in like a ransom note text. So,
Dude, that's a
my
that's a
heart
power-
hearts your heart, sir.
Wow. Well, yeah, that's a lot to lay on me, John.
Well, live up to it.
There's several things. To be on this side of the band years, you know, there was a youthful nature to the whole thing that's like, but there's also this youthful, like, mythology would say, like the red warrior of youth. When youth finally says, you know what? I believe in something and it's different than you. Right? Like last Tuesday in many ways was a segue to, you know, a spiritual pathway that I would then follow. So last Tuesday for me was saying no to college. And you know, after 3 years, and I still have these debts that come from Mohela, like, oh my God, because I didn't finish my degree. I came to do shows because I don't know what, well, anyway, so like, I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole, but I will say that to be hearing you speak about one thing, not the only thing, but one thing of a few from that era that I still am challenged by. That's where I was like, Become What You Believe. I wouldn't say it was ahead of its times, but I still believe in that record. And it's interesting to create art and be like, there's some stuff there that didn't go anywhere that should have gone further. And you know, you can feel that the month after the release, but 20 years in, still feeling that and seeing a tattoo, like, that's the right thing. Good thing you didn't put some of the other nonsense, but that's something really hard. You can believe, but to become what you believe, that's the full integration, you know, and you can look back at who you were then, who you were when you got the tattoo, who you are now, who you're going to be 20 years from now, and how much your son will embody a concept such as Become What You Believe, that just stand behind your convictions. And when those, like David Bazan would say later on a record, and when the truth begins to change, because it will, go with that too, you know, like, anyway, like, super special to me, honestly. I don't know if you've told me already about that, but that is really cool and means a lot. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. But I'm at some point going to add the resolve dagger going down the middle too. I'm scared to tattoo
I have
my
a
sternum.
resolve tattoo. I don't know if I. So this is a banner.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't say it, but resolve, right? And it's the Become What You Believe. What I have from that era as a tattoo to memorize it was the van with the trailer. I'm not going to show you the back of my leg, but I lived a lot of years in the back of a van booking shows, right? Like, I learned, like, few people, I don't talk about it anymore. I used to, because it was more relevant, because I didn't have a resume, right? People wanted to hire me and they're like, what have you done? And I was like, well, I was in the back of a van booking shows all over the country before the internet existed.
Dude. And MySpace was so good for promoters.
Oh no.
Facebook is nothing.
Oh.
But as far as independent music and MySpace went, that was everything that I was doing when I was booking.
You want to know something interesting about Facebook? Maybe interesting. Because you guys are, Quinn, where do you live? Did your dad say don't give any private information on the podcast, or you just had a brain fart, or what is the reason that this is taking so long? This is a podcast. Come on. Where do you live? You're nervous. All right, let me ask
What state?
Oh, Illinois.
I love that you know how to ask the right question. What state? Where do you live is too abstract. What state dost thou livest? Oh, actually, I would have thought this is Ohio. That's how crazy I am. Hopefully that doesn't come off the wrong way. But did you ever, because there's an interesting, Canton area, right?
Yep.
So there's a parallel between, the reason why is because there's a Canton, Illinois that really paralleled a scene in Ohio. And there's this guy named Ben Aitner. I don't know how to, Aitniar. Do you know who that is?
I do not.
Okay. Good.
If I do, I'm sorry.
I'm going to talk smack about him for a little bit on your podcast. And because he was on my podcast recently.
Nice.
And he's a dad. And he might be on your podcast to defend himself. But that guy, super cool, was at all these shows. And he's like some top hotshot at Facebook. So I just thought it would be interesting that you would know that somebody that was at a last Tuesday show is at the company that you just shamed, and I thought it would be nice for you to have them on the podcast.
Nice. Well, we do have a Facebook page, but it's hot garbage.
Nice recovery.
Garbage.
Recovery and then dumpster fire. Okay.
Garbage. Garbage.
That's what we're about here. I've said it in the last few podcasts that we come into this thing kind of with a plan and a direction that we're going to go. And it's kind of like the beginning of the Vacation movie where he's trying to map out the trip on the TV and all of a sudden Rusty gets like Pac-Man to come by and eat the car. That's kind of where we end up because I
Quinn,
never
do you
know what's
what your
going to
dad's
happen to my
talking about?
left.
Quinn, do you know what your dad's talking about?
I don't know. He's crazy.
All right.
I think you've seen Christmas Vacation. I don't think you've seen the real Vacation yet.
Wait, is
Which-
this Lampoon?
Oh, yeah. Chevy Chase.
Why would you not mention the name of the movie when you're dropping it?
Okay, National Lampoon's Vacation.
Thank you. Okay. That's a movie I can't get into. All right.
Copyright issues.
Oh, really?
I don't think so. I know
Man, your son's like really on top of things.
that's
I don't really trust you.
that's
so-
coming from the kid that's wearing the Spider-Man shirt right now, so
Oh, that's a cool shirt. Yeah. Yeah. It's clear that you guys. I got a cool shirt. Let me tell you about this shirt, okay?
okay.
Let's talk about shirts. So, because I chose this, right? I'm like, I'm going to be on a podcast. I'm not a poser, but I am going to pose. That's what 42-year-olds do. This band is called Los Prisioneros. I recently went to Chile after 20 years. That's where I grew up. I don't know if you knew that, but I grew up in Chile. And this band, talk about bands that influence, like maybe in a certain way what Last Tuesday did for you, like Los Prisioneros really did for me. Like, because Prisioneros means prisoner, of course. Chile was under a dictatorship when we rolled into Chile in 1987. And Los Prisioneros were writing music against the dictatorship. That's really punk rock.
Yep.
Their music was like 80s kind of like Pet Shop Boys. So the punk rockness, and hold on here, is not always in the fast speed of the right hand pulsing over like a power chord. There's a certain punk rock nature that exists in other places in this world. And that's what I've found as I've gone places. There's people that are far more punk rock than the... And I love it. That's all. Sorry, Quinn.
I'm fine.
So, Quinn, it would be really cool for you to take this conversation wherever you need it to go. Usually the best thing to do is like either tell a cool, short little story or a really good question.
Now he feels awkward.
Okay. We were at the City Museum in St. Louis.
You gotta talk into the mic or else we're gonna
sorry.
hire the other Quinn.
Sorry, my microphone. I dropped my microphone and I was grabbing my cup.
Go ahead. I don't need the reasons. Just deliver.
Okay. We were at this one place in St. Louis called the City Museum, and there was this one circus place. And it was just this one girl, but there was like this one part where her hair was in a bun and she put a hook on her hair and she was literally like swinging in the air from her hair.
Swinging around the room by her bun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she
Quinn,
was like,
Go ahead.
yeah, and she was also like grabbing like speakers and stuff and then just like spinning them around using like her like braids that the audience
How long
made.
ago was that, Quinn?
I think that was like 2 weekends ago. So like,
And where was that?
St. Louis City Museum.
That's funny how quickly you answered because I asked you where you lived and you needed help from Dad, but you know where the lady with spinning speakers is from, St. Louis.
Priorities.
I ain't forgetting either. Huh?
Priorities.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, Quinn. You're a really smart kid. It's good to be on the Quinn podcast, and we're thankful for the co-host.
Haha. He legit almost pushed my chair over.
Yeah, he's like,
so
I've been waiting this moment my whole life.
So we brought you in right after hearing the song. Is it Gyre? Is that how you pronounce it?
Gyre.
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 Yeah.
Gyre.
What's the story behind that? It's got a cool video to it.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna put you on the spot, but since you're putting me on the spot, my favorite, people can talk, I've never made money making music, but I have put gas in a vehicle, and I have afforded a meal, but the richest feedback I've ever received is like as you worked through the song, what did it say before I say anything? That's just what that's where I know whether it's worthwhile or not. It's a big deal. If I trump that option, you bought into the song that I sold you rather than the product of what that just was. Does that make sense?
Okay. Well, first off, I dig the tone of it. It's kind of like an old, some of the weird DeGauser brand new stuff, if that makes sense.
It's very fascinating where you're taking all this.
Yep. I'm sure you're just thrilled. Hopefully you don't hate brand new.
It's interesting because it kind of because I'm really a lyric guy.
Yeah.
Right. That's the starting point for me. It's why within the last Tuesday, music, Become What You Believe, song after song, right? There was finally this moment in a very disconnected relationship that I had with, Steve. Connected in terms of what we wanted to do with our lives, but not in terms of what a lyric needed to look like. Become What You Believe was that. It was two guys let's put something out there in writing that means something. So, I remember that moment, and I like it, but that wasn't the case for a lot of the music that went out there. What really, for this song and other stuff that I then have consistently done is if the lyric doesn't matter, then it's not that kind of music, but that's the starting point. For the music that I listen to, right now, the greatest thing that I've listened to recently, and I'm so thankful, is Bayside's new record. I don't know if we've talked about it.
Not the new one. Not the new one.
I not to mention how it's complemented by its music, but hell must be empty because the devils are all up here. I'm wow, I want to sing that at the top of my lungs. And when somebody's hell must be empty because the devils are all up here, I'm that's something I wish I had written, and I envy it to death. And with the praise that comes from my soul, because a lot of stuff, right? You got a comparison of the Blink 182 new record, it has some moments, okay, do I have to die for you to say I love you? Okay, but even though I'm enjoying it sonically and nostalgically, the record at a lyric level never will be what a Bayside record is. And I've followed, the stuff that they've put out over a long time. So anyway, bringing it back to Gyre, I'm trying to put something into words with some music to sing along.
Okay. Oh, I see the wheels turning.
What?
I don't know.
Oh, there's a wasp.
It looked like you were thinking. That's
Me?
not a wasp. There's a stink bug. Yeah.
Stink bugs are not that quiet. How is that a stink bug?
It looked like you were going after the mic or the guitar or something, and I was like, ooh.
Oh no, we'll do that later. So, no, so really, gyre is, this definitely like a dad that has a dad that's about to go, and I'm already a dad. Like the gyre is this cyclical cylinder of a, geometrical. You have a way to bring up a gyre for Quinn, right? I'd be curious what he thinks once he knows what a gyre is.
1 second. I had to steal the keyboard because we were drumming on it. Oh, goodness. Okay.
What is a dryer?
Gyre.
Well, what are you
Dry.
looking at? Are you looking at are you looking at definitions or images or what?
I just did a quick Google search. First thing that comes up is a definition. A whirl or gyrate.
What's a gyrate?
Images. You got a bunch of hurricanes.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? I mean, really, this comes from like the idea of the spiral motion, but at a gigantic oceanic level. So this song basically sets the preface of I was a kid. One of the fondest memories that I have as a child was walking down the stairs and seeing my dad with scripture. Now, I don't do that, but it's a powerful memory to me. Like I don't wake up to I don't have memories waking up to my dad jacking around or he didn't come home last night. It's like he was in the Word, and he was next to my mom in the Word. And for as much as my faith may have deviated in some ways, the essence is the same. And gyre is the reconciliation, in which the chorus says, "Now I'm the one in the chair," with the same blank stare, wanting just to be fed on anything that's not bread. Because the first food that breaks the fast that the word breakfast comes from cannot be a piece of toast. My dad taught me that. The first thing that breaks the fast, the breakfast of your day, it's got to be something that's been around for at least 2,000 years. The Bible has some things. There's other stuff out there that's been around for a long time. But if you're waking up to the mundane that's passing, like, for example, I was stuck at a recital today and I couldn't make it to the podcast on time. That stuff, nobody cares years from now.
Nice.
So my dad taught me, and that's the tip of the hat in this song. It's, "Now I'm the one in the chair with the same blank stare, wanting just to be fed on anything but bread." Like, I'm trying still in the morning to make myself align for my task at hand. As a dad, I gotta be patient. As a husband, gotta be loving and patient, mostly patient. And as a worker, you name it. What's Quinn got going on?
Speaking
here?
of
Is
patience,
this Darth Vader intermission.
So that is a little half a skull that my wife got from Temu. Everybody learned how to pronounce that during the Super Bowl. Temu, there we go. I still didn't get it right. And what it does is it holds your glasses. you could put your glasses on the bridge of the nose, and then it becomes a little nerdy skull. But
Do you got? Well, let me see you use it. You have glasses.
oh, nobody wants to see my face. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Wait, aren't? Oh,
Boom.
they rest your glasses when they're off your face.
Yep.
I thought the whole idea was to rest your face when it's on, like rest your glasses when it's on your face.
Nope. It's a glasses holder.
Why
and
do you have a glasses holder?
I guess
How
the
much
back.
do you need your
What just happened there?
How much do you need your glasses to rest?
Wow, a video just started somehow. I really don't need my glasses to rest too much. Yeah. Basically just at night when I'm asleep, which is why I don't know why it's down in the music studio area, but whatever.
That is a really bad way of resting your glasses. Like right now, I'm going on Amazon right now. Resting glasses better than johnkeith.com.
It's creative, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not very
No, I love it.
practical.
Like, I put my glasses on an end table next to my bed. I feel embarrassed. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, you got all these lights going on. You got these microphones. You got this hair, tattoos, and on top, like a cool kid. Because I asked my kid, like, if he wanted to be on the show. My kid is in the fall. Your kid's in the summer. Like, I love it. Like, Quinn's still like, I want to show you my tricks. There will come a day where Quinn will be like, Dad, your podcast sucks. I really don't want to be on it.
And that's when
I'm already like.
we have an 8-month-old. Uh-oh. Did we lose you? Oh, we did. Hey.
Light bulb.
Oh, you're muted.
Light bulb.
Quinn,
What?
I love how like you're just. It's like we didn't skip a beat. It's like
He was committed to that joke.
Light bulb.
But
it reminds me a lot of like when Chris Merck forgot that the chorus was supposed to be a half, like whatever we used to call it.
oh, old Tank.
And he used to like double time, and I'd be like, dude, we talked about this. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
Well, and speaking of that conversation, so he went on to drum for Inhale Exhale for a little while.
Yeah.
You went on to begin a project called Pistol Boot Randy for a little while.
Dude, I loved it. How
And
do you
then-
know that?
Because I have stalked you for the last 20 years. I mean,
Dude, I
Um,
really love those songs. Like, that's another thing that... Do you know how that project happened? 'Cause-
I do not.
Dude, do you want
I
to
am
hear it?
excited though.
Yeah, dude. Like, it's really great, okay? Like, it's one of the things that I'm just like, I can't believe that thing happened, okay? So I went to before last Tuesday, did you know I went to a music school on Martha's Vineyard?
Yep, I almost went to the same one because you pitched it to me at the last show I ever saw.
Holy crap. Why? Where were you going to school?
I was not at the time. I might have
What,
been
you were
going
in
to
high
Spoon
school?
River College at that point, but yeah, I had thought about going to the what was it, Contemporary Christian
Yeah.
Contemporary Music
Center.
Center. There it is.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing, dude.
But
so
you posted about
did-
that, and then I asked you about it at that last show, and we kind of messaged a couple times.
why
Apparently,
did you not go?
I don't think I ever sent in. Like, I actually did a demo to go for the performance side of that, and never sent it in. It was funny. It was actually produced by one of the guys that did Staples' first record. So like it was really well done. I never actually sent it, and I was a little sad. I did find out though that one of the guys that is like one of the main teachers there or whatever they are, was actually the guy that produced this. His music teacher at Greenville College in Southern
so
Illinois.
it must have been Warren Pettit.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Yeah,
so it was a circle of people that we all knew.
Yeah, well, that's how the scene used to be back then. It was really strange for me to come back to the States after everything had disappeared and really try to piece in my mind like what happened, right? That's really interesting. It's going to be impossible for anybody to ever experience or recreate what we got to participate of. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, definitely early 2000s music scene was fantastic.
So let me since this makes it even better to tell a story. So I go to Martha's Vineyard for 6 months. Basically, like the way that I got connected to Last Tuesday was I opened a show for them in a band called World Without End. Did you ever hear their stuff?
I did not.
Right,
I might have seen that somewhere. I might have seen the
really
name.
Interesting. Like I was excited about that project. Okay, it was like a 3-piece band with like a prog rock sort of feel, but with jam band. Like if jam bands were like emo indie punk rock, and you just jammed out on that world, that's what we were doing. Like it was fun, right? Last Tuesday's like, hey, we need to go do this show in Nashville. Come along. I was like, okay. But then I went to the Martha's Vineyard, and on Martha's Vineyard, I was basically making a decision in my life. Like, I knew I was gonna quit school, and the other guy at that program was like, his name's Tom Willie. He's like, you're a success of the program, but don't tell anybody why. Don't tell anybody that this program helped you quit college, because the whole thing's funded by Christian colleges, like sending people. And if everybody that comes here actually is so empowered to abandon the nonsense of paying a lot of money for a career when you're and this thing is supposed to entertain people for 6 months, but we don't need anybody to make a career out of it. I said, Tom, I got your back. And ever since then, I've been making sure that he's completely screwed. But anyway, that's a different thing, because he made me know that I had to make a decision. World Without End, Last Tuesday, or my own stuff. And there was a friend band of mine, actually, called Barry, from Greenville College, that Warren knows very well.
Huh.
And so, while being on Martha's Vineyard, I would message Steve and try to feel, of all these options, who's the real deal on 2 fronts. Who's ready to quit it all? And if they quit it all, what's their intention? If they're just a business, that's one thing. If their conviction is like just trying to save the world, like the new song Summer's End, trying to save the world with a song, I want to do that. I want to be around those people. That was Last Tuesday. So at the end of, so that's the bookend at the beginning. At the end of this whole journey, I take Chris and our van that's tattooed on my leg onto a ferry that crosses onto Martha's Vineyard. Because in January, before the final tour, I was like, I'm not going home, I'm going to make music. So I called the bassist, Nathan Thomas, right now is like the bassist for this big wig country guy. I can't remember. Hold on. Let me find that, because it's Scott Cowell. This is really fun. Nate Thomas. Oh my gosh. I don't know, like, do you listen to country?
Not at all. My cousin was a signed country artist for a little while.
So you can't help me with this.
His was kind of singer-songwriter country, so it wasn't
this is so
too
funny
bad.
because I can't remember. I don't even care that much to be like looking for that. Anyway, like the dude is a really great bassist. Like, ended up playing for this country artist, still lives off of it down in Nashville. The guy on guitars for PBR was Wick Wade, Jason Hamlin, really bad guitarist. Like, and the fact that with Tank, we all got together for a week. We wrote 5 songs and recorded them all independently. And it was the most fun music that like I had written. Because last Tuesday at that point it had begun such a business that we were trying to keep alive, and like all we did was to get together and make music. And then like to go perform. Were you at the final show?
I was at the final Canton show. I didn't go to like the final show.
So you didn't see PBR play?
I did not.
All right. Well, that's fine. Like, you were on the final, but on that tour, of course, like those guys showed up to play, and there's one little video that I found, but it was just so fun. I had a lot of fun. Now, lyric-wise, it was the first time that I wrote about something that didn't matter. Like, you listen to those songs, and it was like dancing with some chick all night, and some other thing. Like, it was meant like to complement like the intensity of touring without Steve on a record called Become What You Believe, right? Like, that was pretty intense. Like, to carry that weight without the guy that was the original founder of this one. So anyway, that's a little short story on that.
I had to plug in camera 1.
Camera 1. Quinn, what are we going to talk about in this next segment of the show?
You want to get him into a game?
Okay. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, dude.
Okay. So.
He got a little sleepy there for a minute.
So you know Spanish, right?
Wow, yeah. How do you know that? What? How do you know that? There's nothing in me in this interview that has revealed such a thing. Are you talking behind my back?
I know your IP address.
Oh,
that is weird.
That is the best answer ever. Good. Okay, carry on.
But so we thought of a very weird game last second where we just make you say weird things in a different language.
Okay, well, here's what's gonna happen. All right. So, my mom is watching you now, and I need my mom to know that I'm on a podcast tonight because we were gonna have a family call. Didn't show up. Okay. So here
Hi,
I
Mom.
am. Yeah, I am on the Dad podcast. All right, Quinn. So what? I'm ready to play. Let's play. What do I need to do?
Okay. You can say the first thing that it says in Spanish.
All right. How about what is a good food order? How do you order food in Spanish? And tell us what you said.
Tengo hambre, hijo de puta.
Is that your favorite food?
I didn't mention the type of food. I just said I'm hungry, and then I said a bad word.
Ah. Okay. I'm not aware of that. So,
But
what do you
that's
got?
what-
My cat is meowing.
You want me to say my cat is meowing in Spanish?
Yeah, sure.
That'll work.
Like literally, like correctly, or my version?
I guess your version.
Okay. Oye, que mi gato no para joder por la concha de su madre.
Yes. We can now call this an international podcast.
Oh yeah, you guys are going overseas with this one.
Oh, we've already done that. So, fun story. We had a guy from, was it Portugal? Yeah, it was Portugal. It was one of them P's that's overseas. But yeah, we had a guy tuning in from, what's that?
Did you say thief that lives overseas?
No. I have no idea what word that sounded like that. Anyway, I think he is now chasing the cat for a second.
Okay.
But anyway, we had a guy from Portugal that it's like a 6-hour time difference, so it was lunchtime for us and bedtime for him, kind of. It was real fun. And it actually has gotten more views than any of our other ones. This one might top it though. I am hoping, because this is the legendary Carl Brengle. And now there's a cat on the keyboard. Hopefully we're not pressing buttons and stuff. I'll turn it on.
We'll talk about this with our Ben Aitnar Facebook fiend. Like, the algorithms are against us right now. So at best, well, but it was before digital platforms. Like, really, like, you know, like, you can hear, like, for example, in the song "I'm Not Giving Up My Time Thinking About What I Hate," that song
How I hate.
is. Do you know what that's about?
Um,
Like, if you, I'm not putting you to the test. Like this is the chance to just be like, do you know, like, what we were going through at that point? Like,
I do not. I don't know the story behind it.
so basically, like, after having worked that much, certain song comes out, and it hits the charts. We're like, man, like, we've been who is this band? They just popped up on this, like, and it begins to eat at your mind, right? How do you stay focused if you've been working really hard and somebody comes with a shitty song and they're selling 10,000 records?
We bleep
Like,
that.
it's really hard. I'm not giving up my time thinking about how I hate everything and everyone. The reason why I mentioned that is because you mentioned Rob from The Switch, and Rob from The Switch became really good friends with this dude from 11D7.
Yep.
And that was the band that inspired that song, because I really hated them at the time. I was young, you know. They were on Staples' label. I don't remember what it was, but I know they were related. And I was just like why are these guys more successful than us? And that's what that record talks about. Like, that song, right? Like, dealing with that. Like, it's a reality, but as a youth, like, you gotta let it go. I'm letting go. You can hear the breakdown of that. That is the only Last Tuesday song that had a breakdown where I was weeping, singing, because it wasn't right for me to feel that way.
Yeah. And you always played with a lot of crazy emotion and intensity as well. The biggest thing I always remember is the power stance. You were basically doing the splits all the time while playing.
Yeah,
In fact, you kind of yelled at me one day. You're like, "There's too many chords on this stage. I'm gonna be jumping all over the place." And I'm like, "This dude,
wow.
This is craziness.
man."
This is
Hey, so what parts? I know it's getting late. So, like, what parts of the show do we need to do with Quinn so he can be a free bird, and then we can finish off a few other things?
I think we're about there. We typically let's go ahead and we'll edit it in your other song here.
Bueno, ¿cómo es?
Como mi papá. Como mi papá. Y nos ayuda para hacer la vida. Mi papá.
The summer's end, you ran ahead, discovering the world that it always been. Slipping out of daddy's hands, and the thick books we read now crowd the shelves. The dusty pages are whispering summer's end, slipping out of your daddy's hands. One summer you'll know. We all long for a home, don't tell mom, but I know you're not coming home. You're not coming And don't forget the summer we first wept, saying see you again to your best friend every night. I toss and turn, praying for a word that would save the world. You're so one summer you'll know. We all long for a home, don't tell mom, but I know there's so much left to live for. One summer you'll know. We all long for a home. One summer you'll know. We all long for a home. Don't tell mom, but I know you're not coming home. You're not coming home.
Just came out a few days ago called Summer's End. What do you want to tell us about it?
Tell us.
We've already been hinting at it.
Hinting.
You know, Quinn Quinn is in the phase in which, you know, it was, I wrote this song in the moment that I started missing, when my son, like, if I went to my sons and I was like, get on the motorcycle, we're gonna go jump off the pier. That was a hero, man. Now, it's not so much the case. Now, you know, like Quinn, they got their own identity and they want something different. So, you know, I asked my boys if they wanted to be on the podcast. They don't want to be on the podcast anymore. Like, there's a certain level of the goal. Like, I'd be like, you guys want to do this? Yeah! 0 through 7 for me. Sometimes 8, 9. Then it dwindles. And Summer's End is that. The thick books now crowd the shelf. Their dusty pages are whispering. I can see right now, I keep them there. All the books I used to read to my boys. I can't ask them if they want to read any more books. They don't care. They learned how to read. So they read their own books. But I used to like reading to them. And so this song a lot talks about that. Like, it was nice when I asked them if they wanted to do something and it was a guaranteed yes. We're gonna have fun with Dad. Right now, I try really hard. Mostly they don't want to do nothing with me. And that's the song, Summer's End.
Well, it definitely has a kind of a harder vibe than the other one, Gyre.
Well, that's the gyre, right? The whole thing about, you know, going back to the hurricane, you know, it's a disrupt. You know, I did the same thing to my dad, right?
Yep.
At some point, you know, I have a great connection with my dad. And we came back to live in the States because I didn't know if my dad's going to be around forever. 2 years later, he died. You know, so that's a gyre, right?
Yep.
But I also reached a point where I said, Dad, you really don't know nothing. That period took that hurricane had a 20-year cycle, the orbit, right? That's a long time. I don't know, because my dad passed away, I can't ask him what the gyre is for him.
Yep.
Dad, what was it like to wait? Because I was really not nice to, you know, I never called my dad. I used to think things like, well, how come you taught me so much about God but not how to change a pipe? Like, Dad, like, I appreciate you teaching me the good way, but I've never used a hammer with you. I don't really understand the difference of all these screws. That was your job, Dad. So, you know, Gyre and Summer's End deal with kind of the same thing that I've been thinking about for a long time, but from different perspective. Gyre is the tip of the hat. Dad, you taught me to be a person that seeks the Lord early in the morning. Whatever the Lord is for people. But you taught me to, like, do something more important than what you think is important before you start your day. Whatever that is. You didn't teach me other stuff, but you taught me that. Gyre is about that. Summer's End is me going into the moment in which I did that to my dad. My boys are doing that to me. They reject everything that I stand for. Music, spirituality, everything. Nothing that's important to me is important to them. Summer's End is about that. It's you have to accept that happened. My dad had to accept it. It took maybe 20 years for me to sit down and say, Dad, I'm really sorry. Thank you for what you gave me. That's a gyre, right? It's a hurricane cyclical dimension that's oceanic. When you look at the maps of the gyre, when you imagine a current that hits Africa but also hits America, you've got a big thing going on. And that's the type of stuff that I'm talking about when I talk about Summer's End or gyre. You know, it's stuff that I've been thinking a lot about and experiencing, and finally have the discipline to put out. These songs have been around for a long time, but the one thing about music is that and I talk a lot about this with different artist friends of mine. I have a friend that's a sculpturist. I have another that's a painter. So they want to paint something. They put the brush that they bought. Thankfully, they don't have to make their own brush. They take the brush, they dip it, they paint. Then when they're done, they sell it. As a musician, it's different. I write a song. I think it's great. Then I ask about 100 people what they think of this song and what it should look like as an end product. And then I ask them, well, I can't pay 20 people to make it sound like that. I agree, but that's going to take a lot of people. It's not just in my brush. I wrote the song, but you know, how many people are going to hear it the way that it should be heard? Yeah. And how much is it going to cost me? And so Summer's End and gyre are those two things. Gyre is something I did completely on my own. I just woke up. I'm like, I've been sitting on this song for 4 years. I don't have any money, any sort of backing. I'm not going to bring anybody. I'm just going to put this thing out. I didn't learn in last Tuesday to do things correctly. Now it sounds somewhat decent. I'm going to put it out. Because we used to like stuff that was somewhat decent. But Summer's End, you know, like, why does it exist in Spotify and all these places? Because I had a friend in China, this guy that wanted to work at my kindergarten, and I couldn't pay him enough, but he said, man, I really like the way that you think. So I don't want to work for you because it's not enough money, but let's keep in touch. So we went on a vacation, my final vacation in China. Beautiful. We went to, visit this sanctuary at the top of this mountain, this holy mountain. And I went with his family. And then we kept in touch. So he produced and engineered. His name is Garris. Just a guy trying to do stuff. But he produced 2 of my songs. One which was Stew Ball, which is my dad singing a song with me. And we can talk about that another time. The other one was this one, Summer's End. And the guy's a dude. And the reason he got behind, it should have cost me $750 or more. Maybe far more, $3,000. A lot of time goes into a song, right? To be able to deliver it at that level. I can do my level of gyre. Gyre, if I had some people really behind it, that thing would sound good. This is just what happened on a Sunday in Belgrade, Maine. And that's, for me at least, still a reality. A lot of people that have mastered the ability to record themselves, they don't struggle. But my point is, as an artist, if you're going to paint, you don't have to know how to make a brush. And you don't have to know how to make color. You buy it and you make your art. As a songwriter, if you don't know how to produce your own music and engineer it and upload it and get somebody to listen to it, your audience and I could show you a better version of gyre, but you would have to hire the violinists and the cellos and that I wanted that song to have. And I waited all these years, and I'm like, I just want to put this song out there. It would be nice to have these things, but I also have other songs, and I want to put them out there. I can't keep waiting for the right budget to put my music out. That's the decision between both of these for different reasons. Right?
Yeah. And I actually love the production value of each. It fits the tone with both of them, and it fits kind of the direction they go. It's like the first one. It's Gyre is so like dissonant, and I like how you overdubbed like the different vocals, and there's all sorts of like echoing effects and
Wow, yeah.
all sorts of stuff in that. It's almost like a dream sequence. And the video is kind of the same way.
Yeah, that video, I had to wait to make it for two reasons. The video, right? The chair that I'm sitting in that video, now I'm the one in the chair. That chair is my sister's chair. She lives here in Maine. My older sister by 8 years. You know, talk about gyres, right? Cycles. Like, this is where like unfortunately, if I don't have a podcast or something, like what I'm doing in those things, it's not like on a whole other level. Like I realize there's a DIY nature, but it's also symbolizing something far deeper. The chair I'm sitting in is the chair that I got from my sister, and it's the chair that I sat in drinking a glass of wine when I was telling her, should I go with last Tuesday? Should I do my own music? Should I go with this band Barry? Rolled with that and gave up. In that chair, in that video, she gave it to me because I live about an hour north, and she gave me that chair that I processed like, who should be my girlfriend? Should I go to live in Costa Rica? Like all these things in that chair, in that video. And she had given it to me like 2 weeks before. The other thing that's very powerful in that video, and few people know, because nobody asks, like nobody's interested in it. If it's arbitrary, it's arbitrary. But I'll show you right here.
Do they ask about your pedicure at all? Because there's a lot of your feet.
Well, I'll talk about that. But this is the Bible, right?
Yep.
That I read when I was in last Tuesday, right? Like
Yep.
in the back of that van, right? Become what you believe is a Bible verse. Like that was me studying this thing, but it's the Eugene Peterson version of the Bible, which was called the Message.
Yep.
Right, but like, look at this. Look what's it. Like, this is my Bible. It's all duct tape because it lived in the bottom of a van and would always get beat around, so I had to like take care of it. But I kept that, and I kept this sticker that I bought at a show. Right. That's still true, right?
Yeah.
So I would die for what I believe. Like I'm that kind of person. But you know what those are?
Oh, the stickers off of the albums.
Yeah. So like I have resolve and become what you believe in this Bible, right? Because it was a big deal to have a record in the store. Like that felt good. That felt not prideful, but you do a lot of work. I tell a lot of people we played 200 shows a year, but 15 were good.
They were
Right.
all in Canton.
Right. Not really Canton, okay, like Wapakoneta, you know. And so there's a certain part of resilience that really is required. Duct tape leather binding. You know, you make newspapers like, okay, like that thing gets a drop of water, it's ruined. You can't even sell it. But you throw duct tape on something, you can go to Colorado, where I just came back from, because I brought this book from a friend of mine's that I had let read it. And I let him read it because, like, I've read the Bible so many times, like it's not a joke, like so many times. I know what ink, but I've read it with that one. And I've tried to apply certain things. And the reason why I don't fit in the church is not for David Bazan's reasons. He's really pissing me off lately. But it's because there's a different way to talk about the same truth and the same passion, same fire that's in that book. But you gotta set it free. Eugene Peterson set this stuff free. I can read you any part in this Bible and stand behind it. I'm gonna open up randomly. Something on tour. So that highlighter, anything that's highlighted like that, I read when I was 20. Staying with it. That's what God requires. What? Stay with it to the end. Wow. You won't be sorry. You will be saved. All during this time, the good news, the message of the kingdom will be preached all over the world. A witness staked out in every country. And then the end will come. You know, you can put me to the test. I'll open it anywhere. I will find something I can stand by. The only reason why there's any debate about standing behind certain scriptures because it's written in a way that we don't speak or think or listen or understand anymore. But the truth is still the truth. But the truth has to change. It has to have like a Quinn's fresh perspective on the whole thing.
Fresh perspective?
What are you doing? Why are you waking up, Quinn? Get back to sleep, man. Like I'm gonna tell you something, Quinn, while you go back to sleep. And I could put you back to sleep in dad power. Okay? So when people would tell stories a long time ago, people don't tell stories right now. I can tell a story. I can tell a bunch of stories. But when I started learning about this, I realized I didn't know about stories. Couldn't tell a story. I can tell you something that happened in my day, but I couldn't tell a story that had been around for 2,000 years. So I started learning about all of that. And then, you know, I realized, like, if I can put somebody to sleep with story, then I'm sending them, without them knowing, into a place of dreams. And then if they go into a place of dreams, they're generating, if they wake up the next day and tell a story, then they're generating the next story that came from a place that we can't access unless we're peacefully at sleep. But if Quinn comes back from a story, then he brought something from another place. So he tells his dream, we take that dream and we begin to tell it long enough that we send that story. And that story is meant to dream, sleep the child.
Man. I will say you are living up to the hype, sir. I am very excited about how this has gone, and I have been shushed several times.
Well, that's his job. That's why he's co-host. It's the real deal. Right now, you know, I'm going to drive this as much as I need to. Your summer is coming to an end. Try to hold on to that, because right now the fact that I'm looking at somebody that's putting up with all of us is what I know will disappear, because there will be a point where no longer Quinn's not on this podcast anymore, and that'll be whatever episode it needs to be, and that's okay too, because the gyre, the great cycles, the great cyclones, the great hurricanes that exist in our universe take about 20 years. It's going to take about 20 years for Quinn to say, Dad, you know, it's so cool how you had me on that podcast. I know, you know, like, what is gyre about? Because, like, I told my dad, like, it was dumb for him to take me to church so much. And then it took me about 20 years to say, Dad, thank you. I don't go to church anymore. But it's really impossible for me to think of a structure that involves community, spirituality, emotional intelligence, like song, choir. People are singing in key. They have a sense of rhythm. Like the church is pretty complete. And anybody who doesn't go to church is missing out. And I'm not talking about going to church just to be saved. I'm like, going to church to learn how to clap. You don't go to church, where are you going to clap? Where are you going to learn to clap? Like, people don't know how to clap anymore because they're going less and less to church. So we need places. Tonight I was at a show. There's high school students. And I was clapping. Nobody knew how to clap. So nobody clapped.
It was clapless.
And well, it's this weird example, but any pagan, agnostic, atheist can come to me and I'm going to be like, it's okay. Like, I understand you don't believe or you don't know what to believe in, but how do you teach people to clap? What are you doing, Mr. Atheist, Mrs. Agnostic? Like, how are you teaching to sing in key? Because if the church had those things figured out, we sing, we feed each other, we clap, we learn to like share our testimonies. Basically, we learn to speak. There's a lot of things. The theology that we thought was the most important, as far as I'm concerned, is the least important. It's all that cultural stuff that is lost if your theology doesn't align with a certain institution, and so then you push it away and you don't know how to sing, you don't know how to clap, you don't know how to sit and wait for multiple hours. Like I learned to sit in a pew and wait for my dad to be done preaching every Sunday. It's good for Quinn to be like, man, Dad's still in a podcast. I'm gonna hold this one out because, man, does he get mad when I disrupt the podcast, and he's already, you know, it's like, but we grew up in that. The church gave us that. The church gave me that, and I don't know how to recreate that with my children. I'm not trying to take them to church so that they understand Jesus. I'd like them to go to church to understand how to sing, because your singing sucks. Because you don't know how to clap, right? Like, I remember being in church and somebody would be like, this big light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Then somebody would be, this big light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This, and then somebody would be, this big light of mine. Like, and then people are like, well, how did you learn music? Like, I learned it in the church. Why are you not a Christian? Well, they got a lot of things to figure out, but at least I learned how to clap. How am I supposed to teach my son how to clap if we don't go to church? I don't know. Those are things that I'm trying to figure out.
So what is, changing gears, what is your plan with some of this art that you're releasing? Like, where are you going to go? What are you going to do with it?
What do you mean? Like, what? Like, I'm at a point in my life where I've sat on this stuff for a lot of time. Like I was telling earlier, like I'm really excited, like to engage with you. Like we're talking about Gyre, we're talking about Summer's End. We haven't really dug into it, but it's just hoping that a dialogue ensues that is inspired by this concept. You know, I feel you, man, when you say, every night I toss and turn praying for a word that would save the world. That's what I would like. I do. I wake up in the middle of the night hoping that something that I say could end the wars or just help people love each other. If I can say it in the right way. And then that song admits, or at least your soul. I'd like to save the world, but if I really sit down on the concept, I would be happy to just make sure that my son is saved. Saved from the nonsense of our society where we brought things. So if I can write something that inspires the world, great. Or at least the soul of my son. That is the thing that you see slip away the most. Like I've been studying stories for a long time. Most cultures understood that in the womb, when Quinn came into this world, there was another Quinn. That Quinn slipped away like a snake. It's Quinn's job to find Quinn. That's how the old stories talk about things. Like, who Quinn really is, Quinn doesn't know. He just wants to sleep. The podcast way too long. But when Quinn was in the womb of his mom, there was this great snake. And when I know these words in Spanish, partera, like the nurse that receives the baby, what are they called?
Midwife?
Yeah. So the midwife received Quinn's brother. Quinn's soul was a snake. And she didn't know what to do with it, so she threw it out the window. And this is what the old stories say. So Quinn's got to spend the rest of his life finding that.
You good? Well, let's go ahead and... So you're releasing music under a couple different channels and such. Oh, what are you doing? It is 9:10 p.m. You're releasing music under a couple different monikers and stuff. Is there any one place that our podcast viewers can find your stuff?
Yeah, just messaging you. And if you get any weird requests for old material, message me. Because it's all over the place. I've been trying to catch up with this sort of like the recent debacle. Like, I'm an old guy, man. Like, it's hard to stay on. Like, not only have I learned to have to record and produce and engineer and master like my own stuff, like make sure that it lives in the same it's a lot. Like, there's so many hours that go into something, but I'm getting better at it, and I think more stuff is going to come. And I'm already trying to, like, I've uploaded stuff that lives under a thing. I'm like, shit, I pressed the wrong button. You know, and so it looks like it's under Carl. Dude, like it's old. I'm old. Right, so no, I haven't gotten to that point where everything can live. I would say, you know, like, just an email to Carlitos Gringo. Let's do it old school. Like, send an email to carlitosgringo@gmail.com. Say, hey man, I want to listen to more. I want to talk about more. There's a lot of stuff out there. It's not cohesive, and it'll be interesting, like, if I'm successful over the next 10 years because I think there's something that people can relate to when we're talking. right? Like I don't feel like I mostly talk gibberish, but I feel that there's something that people can connect.
Yeah. Well,
But
we
how
could
that
bunny
lives-
trail. We could bunny trail as much as probably anybody because I've got a bunch of Carl stories, and you've got a bunch of Carl stories. So
Yeah, and what, but what I'm saying is like they're trails, they're branches, leaves that stem off of the same sort of idea that was around when I was 20, 30, now 40, and I hope to keep. And it's the essence of, you know, just showing up, making sure to, with love, put Quinn to sleep, wrap up a podcast, and that's it. You just gotta show up.
Awesome. Well, let's give you some time. What are final thoughts that you want the listeners of the Dad Music Podcast to hear from Mr. Carl Brengle?
Yeah, so the most recent thing that I've learned as a dad, and I'm a dad of a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old. The most recent thing that I've learned is that everybody would benefit from me staying calm.
I am the same way.
I grew into this ruthlessness that I'm embarrassed by. But it's also a part of my growth. Like I felt I was too soft, and then I realized like, man, I gotta like lay my foot down. So I learned to lay my foot down. Then I was like, not all the time. And so then you're constantly adjusting. So what do I feel right now? Best to just stay calm. Like the kids are figuring stuff out. Our wives are figuring stuff out. We're figuring things out about ourselves. Like that I learned from my dad. And it's beginning to make sense right now. I thought my dad was a softie. See, because I was like, you don't put your foot down enough. But when I thought it was appropriate, maybe he was holding back for when it really was appropriate. And if you tell somebody, anybody, that they are awesome every single day, your words mean nothing. So save your words. You're awesome. So that your words are believed. You may feel it, but you don't have to go around saying it all the time. And so that's a weird thing as a young dad. Because young dads, we want to celebrate everything. They walked, they said ma, they're talking. Oh my gosh, they slept through the night. And right now it's okay to say, you ain't doing too good. I'm not proud of what you're doing right now. The way that you're acting is not a proud dad moment. So, why? But that boldness comes from the confidence. If you like, what I've found is that the gyre is real. This hurricane thing is real. So but I don't have to explain that. I don't always have to give the caveat. You don't understand what I'm saying now, but in 17 years you will come and understand. No. But I can boldly say, yeah, that's really crappy what you've done. And then just wait. Like, so what's the thing for dads? Just wait. Like, and the only way you can wait and survive is if you have people to talk about. Like, you gotta vent. You don't have somebody to vent with, you become violent. Really. Like,
Yep.
language-wise, physically, like, and you might surprise yourself the next day, but after like repeating that for an entire year, 3 years, you gotta like find some help. So what's the help? Like being real with yourself and saying, man, I am the animal when it comes to this stuff. Look at the way that I'm talking to these people. How do I tame that? Well, I have to have a rule of thumb. That's not the right way. Second, because I'm about to explode, I gotta have somebody to talk to and have those people. The rest of the stuff will figure itself out, but they don't need to remember that we were some barking dog that didn't know how to control himself. Like, I want my kids to remember that, man, like I remember my dad. I was like, how is it possible that my dad had 4 kids and my mom was mostly going crazy because of all of us? So you have this domino effect. And my dad was like, probably thinking to himself, you guys are all just a bunch of wow. I love you all. Let's try this again tomorrow. Good night. That's my dad's temperament. See, Jair is a tip of the hat to that. At summer's end, it's all going to wherever it needs to go. The winters since the beginning of time were considered the hell, the freezing over. So, what's the spin? How long does it take for us to look at our dads and be like, man, you gave me a solid foundation. I'm sorry that I ignored you for 20 years. Like, 20 years? That's a lot for a dad to endure. I don't know how long I'm going to need to endure, but right now my kids don't think anything that I do is special, and they mostly don't listen to what I'm saying. And so I gotta wait for those Jair moments in which we step into these shoes that we remember, and we speak forward the praise that our fathers have been waiting their entire lives for. I really feel that some things I learned to say to my dad were the very things that said, Dad, it's time for you to go. Go in peace. But I want to send you off in peace with the way that I speak. Right? Those are Jairs.
Yep.
That's
It just popped up that we have less than a minute left on recording. So, dude, I want to thank you for being on the Dad Music Podcast and
Absolutely.
being such a treat, dude. Even though we had some issues, which I figured out. My wife had a garage sale, so we redid some of the basement stuff, and all of the stuff that was charging all the other stuff got unplugged. So
there you go.
But anyway, we'll wrap this up and call it a podcast. But if you want to continue having a conversation, just message me on Facebook or whatever you want to do.
Absolutely.
All right.
Good
Peace,
night,
dude.
Quinn. You were a great host, and thank you, Good for Nothing, for being the co.
Ah!
Let's just jump into it.
Hello. Thank you for watching our episode.
Really? Okay. Oh, are you? That was too much.
Yeah, keep that in. Thank you for watching the Dad Music Podcast.
Check out Carl and his project Glue Scabs that released both of those songs that we just heard.
And check out us.
And check out us. We are the Dad Music Podcast. This is our official Father's Day episode. And you need to go find Carl, listen to his music, like his music, comment on his music, tell him his hair looks awesome, and tell him he's an awesome dad.
Yeah!
Check us next time on the 12th episode of the Dad Music Podcast. Until then, we're gonna click.
Bye!
There's no bye, because I already clicked.